Welcome back to the Campfire Chat Podcast. And today we're going to be covering the Zanesville Zoo Escape with a special guest, Severus Snake. I don't know if you can see her, but yeah, follow along for a blind reaction to this case. It's a pretty crazy one. And like and subscribe if you enjoy the video. Thank you. Welcome back, everyone. Your eyes are not deceiving you. This is a snake on me. This is my pet snake who will be joining us for a little bit today. She's a ball python named Severus the Snake, or just Severus Snake. She's 5 years old. Yeah, this is my little baby girl, and I figured today we're doing a case about exotic pets, so I should bring along my exotic pet. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how well you can see her on the camera, but yeah, she's good. She's a sweet little baby. But, yeah, her little jungle baby. But yeah, now I feel like I said, this case is about exotic animals. How do you feel about the ethics of that? Because obviously we have one, and I think she has an amazing life, but I think that's not the case for most exotic animals. Yeah, because she has a fully bioactive terrarium. It's also huge. It's like, I think it's 6 feet by. Yeah, so it's really big. All real plants in it. She's got like we molded kind of like monkey bars, and there's like levels on the side she can climb on. Lots of spots to hide. So close to the natural. Because that's the thing with like snakes or specifically ball pythons is most of the time they spend in the wild is just like trying to find security and like to find somewhere safe. So really I feel like she's living a great life because she doesn't have to worry about that. She can just like explore and sniff stuff. So that's why I think like it is ethical. Um but unfortunately too, even with ball pythons, like it's some people can just be so unethical with that. Like even in the community of people who own ball pythons, the so many people, professionals who claim to be experts on ball pythons, will keep them in those like literally drawers of Tupperware, like those little dresser kind of things. They'll keep them in the drawers of those with just paper towel on the bottom and a water dish, and it's like, oh, just because the heat and humidity is good, like they're fine and everything's great. When I think that's just so dumb, and it's so strange that that's just like the accepted norm. But I've seen like people on YouTube even who just like keep them like they're actually their pets, they don't breed them, and that's like how they have them. They'll own like 10 ball pythons, just they live in drawers. Yeah. But even like if you're looking at her now, like she loves to explore and do stuff. Like every time I come out here in the nighttime, because they're nocturnal, she's always doing the craziest shit in her terrarium. She's all over the place all night. So I don't know. I think that like ball pythons do need a lot of space and enrichment too. And she probably wouldn't have the personality that she has if it weren't for, having any enrichment. Like, she's such a good snake. So, you know, Yeah, she's very friendly. She's very well socialized. She eats very well, like better than anything. Yeah. Yeah, well, there's a lot of them in this case. So, Terry Thompson was born in Zanesville, Ohio in 1949. And Matthew Lutz, the county sheriff, said that he had always been a like to live on the edge type of person. And I quote. So he met his. A little bit, yeah. He met his wife, Marion, when they were teenagers. But right after he graduated, he went to serve the country in the Vietnam War, which gave him very bad PTSD, and he returned as a changed man. Loved ones report him being distant and a bit of a shell of the person he was initially, but he got a bit better over time, but was just never quite the same after that. But after returning from war in around 1975, he opened up a motorcycle shop, which he ran until the 90s. And yeah, I know he seemed like kind of like a biker type of guy. And then after that, this is even more daredevil. He sold licensed firearms for a while for a living. Yeah, so it wasn't that illegal until it did get illegal, but we'll get into that. But in 1997, Terry and Marion attended an exotic animal auction from which he bought a baby lion for her birthday. And as time went on, I know. I'm not really sure. Probably, like, I mean, at least $1,000, I'm sure. A lot, like, even some ball pythons, some morphs can get up to, like, 15K. Even more for some of them. Yeah, no, it's gotta be a lot. And, like, imagine, I mean, I'm sure she was definitely on board with that, but, like, as a gift, imagine if somebody just, like, brought you a fucking lion one day. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's true. Me just fighting with Severus this whole time. So as time went on, they continued to rescue and buy more exotic animals, including 18 Bengal tigers, 3 mount. This is not really exotic, but there's there's a lot of people who do this. Did you know that there's actually well, this is Ohio. Yeah, but there's like 4,000 left in the wild, and I think there's 6,000 in the US, which is insane. Yeah, but you can never really, like, once they get into captivity, they can never really leave captivity, so that's kind of the problem. Yeah. So, and then there was 3 mountain lions, 9 male lions, 8 lionesses, 6 black bears, 3 grizzly bears, 2 wolves, 3 monkeys, a baboon, 3 leopards, and this totaled to 56 animals. Yeah. Isn't it in BC? Really? Yeah, well, I don't know if this is the right environment for them. Well, not a bear, but like a lion. Was there? She's just sniffing the microphone. Yeah, I guess she does. What do you gotta say, Severus? Can you hear her? Oh, okay. Yeah. It doesn't really make a noise. Some people think that they make a noise, but they don't. Oh, yeah, and Harry Potter. I should know this, because she's literally named after Harry Potter. Yeah. It looks like I'm, like, choking her probably on camera right now. I'm not. She's doing it to herself. But anyways, so, yeah. I'll be so excited. Yeah. But then in 2010, he was sentenced to 1 year prison time on federal weapon charges. And when he finally got out, the zoo was in very bad condition. He was heavily in debt, and his wife left him. So, yeah. I think it was something like they were in like 60K in debt, and no, it was like private. Nobody even like knew what was at the zoo, what animals he had. Yeah, like he didn't even like they said that he really loved his animals. Yeah, yeah, he did do tours. I wonder like how many animals Joe Exotic had. Probably more. Yeah, that would be a pretty crazy case to get into because it has been a while since that came out. Yeah, but 3 weeks after Terry got out of prison, at 5 p.m. on October 18th, 2011, Terry's neighbor, Sam Kopchak, a retired school teacher who lived with his 84-year-old mother, Dolly, left the house to tend to his new horse named Red, who was acting very skittish in the far corner of their fence. So when he left, he noticed that Terry's horses were also freaking out. And then he saw a black bear running away from him, and he didn't think much of it, but he decided to take Red into the barn and then go back inside and report what he had saw. So, well, I think he was just like, this is weird. Well, this is Ohio. Yeah, a lot of places in the US. And in some places you can't even get a ball python. Which is so wild. I don't know what. Ball pythons? Oh. Really? Yeah. But then, when he started walking Red to the barn, he spotted a full-grown African lion. So he decided to slowly walk to the barn, lock him and Red in, and call his mother to tell her what he just saw. And like he knew their properties, like they bordered on each other. He didn't know how many there were, but he had heard lions roaring before. So he like assumed that there was a lot of animals. Yeah. So he assumed there was like maybe a lion and maybe some weird animals, but like he didn't know how many there actually were. So then Dolly called the police to report the lion and the bear. But at this point, more animals emerged. So Sam watched out the window as a wolf, another bear, 2 lions, and a tiger walked by. So he's just like in this barn, like, what the fuck is going on here? Yeah. And Red was okay too, so that's good. Shout out to Red. And then so when police arrived at the scene, they had no idea what they were up against. One policeman had a rifle, but the other 2 just had 40 caliber Glocks, and they had a shotgun like locked up in the ceiling of their cars. So they didn't like yeah. And Officer Mary, who's one of the first on the scene, actually narrowly escaped death when he got there because a bear started to charge him, but luckily he managed to get a kill shot to its brain with his Glock when it was just 7 feet away. Yeah. Is a 40 caliber like big or good or whatever? Because they were saying that it's like not good for this size of animals that were there. Yeah. I don't know what she's doing. Maybe this wasn't a good idea, but I think she's chilling. Like she's fine. We will in a bit. But so they learned that there was actually a school soccer game 1 mile away, so they had to act fast. So Sergeant Steve Blake, who was the first on the scene, decided to go to Terry's house to make sure that he was okay. And then when he got there, he saw all of the cages open, and so he decided to leave until he saw John Moore appear on the property. And John Moore had been a caretaker at the zoo, and he regularly fed all of the animals. He said he was called by a neighbor, so came to see what was going on. John told him that there were 56 animals, which was very useful because, like, at this point they had no idea. So it was like, and they were just ordered to shoot to kill because there was no way they could tranquilize all of these animals and load them up. Like, it was just impossible. People would die if they tried to do that. So it was really the only thing they could do is kill all these animals, which really sucks because, like, the tigers especially, they're an endangered species. You don't want to kill 18 tigers, but, like, they really had no other option. Yeah, true. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. No, true. And then Moore told the police that he had an odd conversation with Terry the night before. Terry said that he suspected his wife was having an affair while he was in prison, and he said, "I have a plan to find out, and you'll know when it happens." So then they spotted a body being eaten by a tiger, but they weren't sure what or who it was, and it was too dangerous to go check. So they needed to clear out the area before. So they loaded 4 officers into the bed of the truck, all with military-grade automatic weapons. Yeah, and they had to shoot down all the other animals in the area, including the one on top of the body. So they realized it was Terry and he was deceased, but they quickly had to go as there were more animals spotted on the border of the property. So they had to get to them fast, because that was the thing. They couldn't waste any time here. Whenever there was a new animal, they had to go to it right away, because they didn't want to lose any of them. So, and Officer Canaveral said, "I felt sick shooting all of these animals. They didn't ask to be here. And, you know, I'm a cat person." That was his quote. And after they... Well, I know, it's just so sad. Like, imagine all these fucking animals. Oh my god. I literally... Oh no. Oh no. Severus. Stop. Stop it. You crazy little girl. You crazy. I guess it adds a little twist. Oh. Yeah. She's just losing it. She's not normally like this. I don't know. She's just rambunctious because like the room looks different than normal. Probably. She's just like, well, what the fuck's going on in here? But anyways. So after they ran low on ammo and they called for more, they decided to go check out the body again. They found a gunshot wound to the head, a Magnum revolver nearby, bolt cutters nearby, and raw chicken pieces all around him. So it seemed like he wanted the animals to eat him. Yeah. So, and there were signs everywhere that were like, caution, exotic animals. And every police in the county was just on this, like, just driving around shooting these animals down. And, like, can you imagine being a cop and you just have to... Yeah. No, it's just absolutely insane. Well, they ended up having to drag them out to a spot and just, like, put them in rows to make sure they got them all. Because... And, but the thing was, they accounted for all of them. Actually, 50 of the animals got bled out and killed, and only 3 leopards and 3 monkeys remained in their cages at the house. Yeah, and the leopards. So those were able to go to the zoo, Columbus Zoo, and be taken care of there. Yeah. But there is just no way. Because it's like, if you think about it, for each of these animals, you'd have to get like a trailer or a truck. Because obviously you can't put all of these animals together. So you'd have to have like maybe 2 tigers per trailer. There's 50 animals out there. And tranquilizers only last so long. So... yeah. And this was so sudden. And, like, they called the zoo, and the... I think that they were... I don't remember the type of leopard, but they were the little monkeys. I forget what they're called. It's a weird name. Yeah, I think so. Like, I think the ones that they have at Pisces. Because I don't know, but the pet store that we go to, they have monkeys, but they're in a separate area, but you can look at them through the glass. It's kind of like a zoo. They're not for purchase. And everyone there loves my tattoo. If you didn't know, I actually have... I can't even move. I have a tattoo of Severus on my whole arm. A sleeve of her. And she seems to enjoy it. She's cosplaying as my sleeve now. Well, but he said that, like, he had a plan and you'll know when it happens. I don't know. I'm not really sure. I just know that I'm being attacked right now by a vicious snake. But she's not actually, like, tight around me. She's just around my sweater. Yeah. I just can imagine that this material doesn't feel too good. Yeah. I'm not sure what this is in her head. Oh! She's usually okay with it, but sometimes she's not. I don't know. It just depends on the mood she's in. But anyways, it was really debatable actually, this whole thing. Like, some animal activists say it was wrong to kill all the animals, but most agreed that it had to be done. Like, I don't know. What do you think? I've seen so many articles that were like, shame on the police for killing all these animals, and it's like, well, a lot of people could have died. Yeah, well, they can't just, like, allow these animals to all roam free and fucking, yeah. Well, like, it's really sad. There's photos of all these, like, it sucks, but it's also completely his fault that these animals had to die. I don't know. But it's like, why did he have to? And they think that he, like, put the chicken around him and wanted them to eat him for, like, their last meal. I don't know. Well, I guess, like, his life was just, like, went to shit. But also, it's like, why the animals? Like, they were gonna have to obviously die then. If you let them out. If you care about the animals. What? I mean, yeah, he could have done that for sure. I just, like, I don't know. It's like he wanted them to have their last hurrah before they died. I don't know. It just seems like he didn't think it through at all. And the weird thing was, too, like, they didn't find any alcohol in his system. The only drug they found in his system was Benadryl. But also, you can trip on Benadryl. Yeah. Well, I don't know, but the thing is, like, it actually didn't eat him. They thought it was eating him. It was just biting him and dragging him around. Like, it probably wasn't trying to eat him, because it would have just eaten him. It was just kind of like... Or maybe it was just like, what the hell is going on? Yeah. I don't know. I don't think it's really that debatable. Because his life was definitely in the shitter at that point. Yeah. But I don't know. I think he just wanted them to have, like, a good last meal, or, like, maybe he thought that they just hated him. But maybe he just didn't think about that. I don't know. He didn't seem like the smartest guy. Because probably the smartest guy wouldn't have 56 animals. But, like, you can imagine they probably did not have a good life. Like, I think what it says is... I think they were just in, like, small cages. Like, not even, like... more ethical situation. Probably worse off than, like, Zoo Exotics animals. Or Joe Exotics animals. I don't know. The whole Joe Exotic thing is crazy, though, too, because I think that they did, like, figure out, Carole's husband's murder. Yeah. So, the, Tiger King Joe Exotic case, though, does have an update. I just looked it up. Carole Baskin's husband, actually, that was assumed to be dead, and Joe Exotic thought... Yeah, so he thought that she killed him, but he's actually alive in Costa Rica. He was, like, a millionaire. He was an investor. And I think he was, like, way older than her, and they met when she was, like, 18 or something. I think so. That was weird. Yeah, I remember that. I think it was somebody else's sanctuary, and they had this weird thing with the girls going on, where there was, like, all these girls there, and they were, like, I don't know. It was some sort of weird cult. He was in Costa Rica, and he was alive and well. But he was declared dead, but apparently the Department of Homeland Security knew about this. Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe. But now No, she didn't. It was Joe that went to jail for 20 years. Yeah, because it was literally, they saw, like, the shit he was saying about her online, so an FBI agent, like, messaged him as a hitman, and he was like, I'll pay you $3,000 to kill her. 3 fucking grand for that? That's insane. But, yeah, but, no, that was insane. And she was actually on Dancing with the Stars. Yeah, she danced to Eye of the Tiger. And, yeah, well, that whole situation is wild, too. But I think, like, that whole situation, like, I don't think tigers and lions and stuff should ever be in captivity. Yeah, but a lot of times it's not. Yeah, well, that's the thing, too, and it's, like, I feel like there's so many different types of animals, but specifically animals with, like, a high prey drive, who, what they do in the day is hunt. It's, like, but even, even, like, a snake. Like, snakes, yeah, you gotta be, like, careful. Yeah, true. But I even, like, still, with her being so chill and, like, she's never done anything sketchy, um, I still, like, tell everyone who handles her, like, what not to do just so that they don't stress her out. Because if something is going to happen, it's going to be if she's stressed out. You know, like, I know that it's not, but I don't really know that it's never going to happen. So it's, like, better to be safe than sorry. Yeah. 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 You can usually scare them away too. Like if you just scream at a bear, they'll usually go away. I mean, in most situations, not a lot of situations. Yeah. No, it's really sketchy, and you have like a flare gun too, so that helps. Yeah. Yeah, but just in case. But like, and that's the thing too. I think it's all the environment. Like, I even heard of the case where this family had a boa constrictor and they were not feeding it enough at all. And they also, for whatever reason, in its terrarium, and they were keeping it in a terrarium smaller than Severus's terrarium, a giant boa constrictor. I think it was like 12 feet long. And they, yeah. And, they just put like a blanket over the terrarium instead of actual lid. So it got out, it was starving, and it ate their kid. And they like were they call on the police, they're like, this damn snake, and it's like, no, you could have like easily prevented this. Mm. Yeah. No, true. Didn't your mom have a boa constrictor? But what about Veronica? What was Veronica? Okay. Yeah. But no, it's a lot to own an exotic animal, and it's like it's very different because you would think that a snake, like since I only feed her every like 3 weeks, you'd think it would be way less maintenance than like a cat or a dog, but it's not because you have to make sure her humidity's good, her heat's good, Like, there is so many factors to owning any exotic animal. Even things like Travis the chimp. Chimpanzees are dangerous, and people have them as pets. Yeah, it's insane. Like, because you'd think, like, oh, it's cute, like, it looks like a person, but they're very social animals, and obviously they can only socialize with other chimps. Like, there's no way for it to fully socialize with a human. Yeah. And that's the thing, too. Yeah. Yeah, well, like, that whole thing is wild. And that's the thing you have to understand, too, is that, like, even though, like, for example, my snake was bred in captivity, all she knows is human beings. So she's chill with that. That's all she knows. But she's still a wild animal. She's not a domesticated snake just because she was bred in captivity. Yeah, so it's like, it's not a domesticated animal unless it's been domesticated for like generations and generations, like hundreds of years. Yeah. Yeah, true. No, exactly. Just get a pet cow. I want a pet cow. They're cute, but have you heard their screams? It's terrifying. It's so scary. I would just want a baby cow. Yeah, I want a tortoise. Yeah, then you can like trust them. But you can never put full trust in a wild animal. Like, never. Even like a dog or a cat, you can't put a full trust in a cat or a dog either. Dogs can snap. Yeah, true. No, it's wild. And it's like, but I just think like there's still cautions you have to understand. Like, if they're behaving a certain way, you have to give very good boundaries with them. Because even like my snake, like a few weeks ago, she was acting really weird in her terrarium. She's not at all, but like still, when she's acting weird, we're like, okay, we're gonna leave her alone. So if a dog is like acting weird or like in a bad mood, you should just like leave it alone because you can't fully trust that they'll just won't. Yeah. Or like sometimes even like dogs can get like sudden brain tumors too. Like that's a thing that can happen in a lot of breeds of dogs is that they can get a brain tumor that'll press on a certain part of their brain, and like as soon as that happens it'll just make them snap. It happens with human beings too. I read a story about a guy who suddenly he was the nicest guy ever for like his whole life. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and there was this guy that I read a story about. He was so nice for his whole life. He was like the perfect guy. He, got a good education. Everyone knew him as being so nice. Suddenly, one day, he went out and shot some people. And he left a note that was like, please check my brain. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with me. And they found this note. And then they checked his brain. And sure enough, there was a tumor in his brain that suddenly, like, just pushed on a certain part. Somehow he just snapped. He had no control over what he was doing at that point. Just shot some people and then shot himself. Yeah. It's so crazy how that stuff can happen, but you just have to be so careful. And it's like, what if that happens to a tiger? Then you're dead instantly. Yeah. Yeah. Did you hear that story though about that YouTuber who put down their dog? But like, and they were like, yeah. And he was like, our kid's too young to teach how to interact with a dog. Yeah. Yeah, and it was so weird. They just shot him, and it's like, could you not have, like, just put it in a separate area of the house or, like, literally just taught your kid how to not fuck with the dog? Because I think that was the story. The kid was, like, fucking with the dog and, like, pulling at it. So then the dog, like, nipped it, and it wasn't actually, the kid wasn't hurt at all. And then they were just like, oh, fuck this dog. And I think they had it for, like, over 10 years. So all the dog knew was them, and then all of a sudden, shoots them. Yeah, that's so crazy. But I mean, and I think that's the thing with dogs too. Yeah, no, I think a lot of people see animals as. Yeah. Yeah. Like, he had rabies. So you have to. Yeah. Oh, that was such a sad thing. Well, yeah, and like you can totally rehome animals. Like my snake was rehomed to me. She was being like neglected really bad before we got her though. And that's the thing too. If anybody watches this and you want a ball python, you have to do months of research. Like just really, really go off with it. Don't listen to anything they tell you at the pet store unless it's like a very reputable pet store, because I think that that's what happened with her. Because when we picked her up, she was in a terrarium with just wood chips as bedding, which is like terrible for snakes. You shouldn't just have like that type of wood chips specifically. It was like rough and like probably so uncomfortable. And it was just literally like one log. She didn't have hides. Like there was like a kind of hide, but it wasn't meant for a ball python. It was just like a little log with the hole cut out in it. No heat, no humidity. Terrible. I don't know how she survived. But it didn't do much. Yeah. Nothing. When we got her too, like, she looked disgusting. Yeah. And that's what happened to her when we got her. There was so much built up skin on her, and I could tell she was in so much pain, and it was like literally coming off scale by scale when she would go around, and it's painful for them to shed. Like, it would be like the difference between like, it would feel like getting waxed, but imagine like every time you move, your hairs just get plucked out of you. So terrible. I don't know how she survived. Now she looks great, but when we got her, she was like, she looked all crusty and disgusting and skinny and just in so much pain. So I think it's because people will go to pet stores, and pet stores will carry reptiles that are exotic animals, and there's usually just kids working there who don't really know what's actually best for all of these different types of animals. So they'll just be like, oh yeah, you can just do this and this because, like, the snake will survive. And I think that there's some sort of statistic where I think it's like I'll look it up, but I think it's like 60% of reptiles bought at pet stores die within the first year. Because they don't, people just go there and buy one. They're like, oh, that's cool. I'll get one. Trust whatever this 16-year-old kid who might not know anything about animals says. Yeah, well, the company just shouldn't be like allowing these to get sold like that. It should be like a reputable breeder who actually checks and makes sure you know what's going on. Yeah. But I mean, at that point, too, like, they would have to probably get an education because it's a lot of information to know about all these different animals. And then you'd probably have to pay them more. Yeah. 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 Like, how much do you think that her terrarium was to remodel? How much do you think that cost? Oh, you think, really? Yeah, that's not bad at all then. Yeah, probably if that was... Yeah. And Severus, I'm pretty sure it was the husband snake and the wife was selling it, so she didn't understand the snake market. Yeah. So she didn't understand the snake market price, so she sold the snake and the terrarium to us for $75. So I was like, this baby needs help. Yeah, and they just didn't give a shit about the snake anymore. Yeah. 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 But then she was also like, her terrarium was just in a cold, unheated basement, unfinished basement. It was fucked. It was like they were just waiting for her to die. But now she's good. She lives her best life. But yeah, it's crazy the amount of people who actually get killed by these animals that they have. I know, like, I've read stories about, like, this man had a hippo one time, and he rescued it from a flood in Florida where he lived, obviously in Florida, because that's where most of this stuff happens with animals like that. And so he rescued it from a flood in Florida, and he had this hippo. He said he had a special bond with it, and he would ride it like a horse in water. Yeah. But he like got a pool and he'd sit on the hippo. Yeah. They're terrifying. And so you just had this pet hippo. But they just fuck with everyone. And like, yeah, and just walk. But yeah, in this hippo, there was a golf course nearby. So he would go over to the golf course and then fuck with people, and that would be his daily activity. He would go to the golf course and just charge at people, and like luckily nobody at the golf course got hurt. And then eventually I think he like killed his owner by chomping him because the owner was like bringing him an apple to lure him away from someone, and then he was like, nope, you look better than the apple. Just got pissed off. Isn't that just a skinny pig? What do you mean? But what was it for? Um, that would be amazing. That's so cute. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna pull it up right now. Oh my god, I'm looking up on my own channel. Wait, I got it. Okay. Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah, but I don't really remember. I would love that. Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, it's like they just take a bite out of your foot or something. True. Well, that's the thing too. It's like, if my snake was bigger, do you think she would eat me? I think she would. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know. It's just like, it's so messed up. Yeah, pretty wild stuff. We'll have to do Travis the Chimp at some point too. Yeah. Yeah. No, true. See you next time. Peace. Yeah.